Real talk, real life, real growth. This is Raw Reality with Tori Story and Fit with Lily.
Hello guys, welcome back to our podcast. Today we are talking about how to be successful. Talk about a 180 spin from last week is all I'm going to say.
Which we did say last week. You know, it goes from 1 week to the next. 1 week may be bad, the next may be great.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened.
It has.
For you.
For me.
Not so much for me. I've gone backwards.
I feel like Tori's just going to continue just holding
Declining.
at the moment.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get when I walk into the room. Everyone was almost like, how are you feeling today? And you don't know how I'm going to feel and say, I feel great.
Yeah.
So that's where this episode has come in is, like I said, how to be successful, not only just in life, but to do with your training, your relationships, your business, because we believe that how you do one thing is truly how you do everything.
Yeah. So we're just going to dive into all of it. But how did this come about?
Okay. So I went on a business seminar, one-on-one workshop with our mentor last week, Reese. So Kate and I went to Melbourne for literally 36 hours, not even. It was a very quick trip. Basically, it's his level 2. So the level 1 is a weekend workshop with many, many people there. And then level 2, which we went to, is a bit more exclusive. I think there was roughly 6 or 7 of us, I think 6, and an 8-hour day and going into the nitty gritty of your particular business. So it's not just you're sitting there listening, it's your business. And it was just really interesting to see the different questions being asked, the dynamics, because we're so caught up in our own environment. So I know how Jackson's doing. I know how Christina's doing. I know how all of our friendship is doing in terms of what questions they have, how their business is running and how they operate. But seeing how other people's business operates from an outside perspective for people that I don't really know is really interesting, and especially from the different personalities in the room. Now, this day is not cheap. It's very expensive, but you get your bang for your buck. It's worth it 1,000%. Especially if you go away and you actually implement the tools, because a lot of people will just kind of come away from these things and not actually put it into play. But like I said, it's a huge day. And at the end, Kate and I asking many questions throughout the day. And at the end, they were it was a quick Q&A. Any questions? No one had a single question besides Kate and I. So we were just going back and forth with Reese, asking all of the questions. And I was just oh, sorry, this is very specific to our business. What would you think about this? Silence. Okay, Kate went, and we just kept going back and forth. And I was wow, everyone is paying thousands of dollars to be here, and you don't have a single question. That is why you're not more likely to be successful. And that really opened my eyes, because I used to be that person. I used to be the one who would sit in the back of the room and I could have 10 questions on my mind and I wouldn't ask a single thing. Or now, if I don't have a question, I will make myself have a question.
And it's just people think, I don't want to be embarrassed by asking the wrong question. And that's what something I always used to say as a teacher, or when I was coaching, I'd be there is no stupid question. If you want to know something, you need to ask, otherwise you will never know.
Literally. And that's what I always try to force myself. I'm just think of a question, anything that comes to your full mind, even if you kind of know something, but you want clarification around it, ask for a different opinion on it, because there's going to be different thought processes and strategies and all of those things. So I thought that was really interesting. And then secondly, we all get in the car to go to dinner, and Kate and I straight on our phones. We haven't really been on them all day. We have multiple coaches and clients needing us. So we're just responding for the straight 40 minutes going to dinner. And not that obviously you have to do this at all. It was literally at night. But one of the people oh, wow, you guys really do work hard. You really don't ever stop working. And in my mind, I spoke about last week, it always feels I'm failing, or always feels I'm not doing enough. And I think that is truly because of my environment. But then now being put in a different environment, I was oh, wow, I actually am. And I am doing a lot more than I think. And it is out of the normal. And even my dad being you guys work so hard. And I never really realized it until someone outside of our immediate group tells me. And it was just a really good eye-opener to how much we have been doing. And I guess that's why we have been successful in what we have done in a short amount of time. So I was okay, I kind of want to give a episode of how to encapsulate all of this.
And not just obviously we're going to touch on business, but also training and friendships as well, and relationships, because that is, I guess, the circle of life, I guess you could say, for us, especially being in business, but then also training is our life. And I know everyone listening is into health, fitness and wellness. That's why we're all here. And then the millions of questions we get on friendships, relationships, and how we make that work. So we've broken it down into 3 sections. We're going to start with business.
Business?
I mean, training.
Okay. Almost think of it like a cake. Like there's different layers to your cake, and then you have like one delicious cake.
Perfect.
Okay, let's start with training because I truly believe that this is the foundation towards success. Now, there of course are going to be outliers in people who are extremely successful, and I'm going to put people in a square box right now. Older men, I swear, can tend to be, if you're successful older men, they just don't really go to the gym. But I feel like that is the old generation in comparison to the new generation, who everyone is way more looking after their health in general.
Yeah.
But you do have to have your training down pat to be successful. Now, it's going to make you think clearer. It's going to make you be more productive. And I truly believe that how you look after yourself is how you do everything else.
And also how you show up. Because if you can, at the end of the day, like I said last week, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. If you don't have business, if you don't have a friendship, if you don't have a relationship, life still goes on. But if you don't have your health, you've got nothing. So I think, again, like you just said, training is going to be the most important, and put nutrition in there as well. But looking after your body, but then also when you can be disciplined and consistent in the gym, you can show up in other areas doing the same. So it's like building that discipline here where it may be hard, but if you can do hard things here, you can do hard things there. And like we always say, we can do hard things.
Literally.
I say that to myself so often.
You say.
I think that'll be me in labor. It's like, you can do hard things.
It is my favorite quote. It's like, I will do like the most basic, boring thing. I'll be sitting on the couch knowing I need to unpack the dishwasher. I'm like, Lily, you can do hard things. Let's go.
Literally.
Like, that is what I tell myself. And it just gets me going.
It does.
It really does. But it's also like people say they want success and they want the results, but they don't want to actually go through the process. They don't want to do the boring reps. They don't want to stay consistent when motivation disappears, and they're not really okay with slow progress. And that's literally like anything in life. If you want success right away, you're setting yourself up for failure because it is boring. It is going to be so repetitive, and you do have to be consistent even when it is really hard. And that also falls into relationships and business as well. So if you can just show up on the days that you don't want to and just put the reps in, day out, you're going to see more results in the long run.
And it's like anyone can just go hard for 1 week. And a lot of us do that, whether it's those New Year's resolutions or like we spoke about last week, you try and restart and you go hard for a week or a month and then it just falls back down. But it's the successful people who do it repetitively for months, years on end. Like you look at us, it's like you posted a story the other day of your home gym doing tricep pull down, I think you were doing, comparing it to now. And that was like, well, you were living in Melbourne, so 20, many, many years ago. And you see, like, you were putting in the reps back then, but you see the progress now. And it's the exact same as business. It's the exact same as relationships. You put the effort in, you put the time in, you will see the results down the track. It's never, all these things that are so important, it's never quick results.
Exactly. And people can look at a photo like that, for example, and be like, oh my gosh, I want those results. How do I sign up? And it's like, absolutely. But you have to put in the work for years. Like it doesn't happen overnight. As much as people want that success and they want the results now, it's just not the way that life works, or else everyone would be extremely healthy, extremely fit, and have all of these results, and it would be super easy. And it's kind of come to my attention like lately. Now, I'm not saying this for everyone, but being in shape isn't actually easy. Now, it's easy once you're in shape to sustain it, of course, but getting there, it's actually not that easy. Going on a weight loss journey, building muscle, it's not easy, but we kind of play it down like it should be easy. Now, yes, you need to focus on the small steps to build up the big habits, but like getting up at 5 a.m. and working to failure in the gym, it's not easy. And that's why these people have all of these results, is because they're doing the hard things.
And it's exactly like once you've built that, so it's like once you're fit and healthy, it's somewhat easy to maintain and sustain that. So it's like for me, for example, I've been training for years. I've now we'll be close to 12 months off the gym, basically.
That's crazy.
Wild. I've never done that in my life.
How do you feel?
Well, it's just like,
I have like a pretty like personal question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, you don't look it, so I'm just wondering how you feel.
Okay.
Do you feel like flabby, like in terms of like your muscles are like jiggly?
no, because I think my tummy is so tight.
Yeah.
And I don't, like, I know a lot of my weight is in, so basically I've gained like 10 kilos since pregnancy. And I know a lot of it is belly. I can tell for me some legs, some arms. And that's just like, I can see that. And everyone else is like, you're just belly. I'm like, well, there's a little bit else. I obviously don't feel as toned, but I think because your belly's just so tight and heavy, I don't feel like flobby everywhere else.
I was going to say, because you do not look it,
Well,
but
that's
like,
really nice.
you have not been training, because I'm like, wow,
No,
you've really held
literally
it.
have done nothing.
Yeah.
But I know that going into postpartum, I have no idea what it's going to look like. I don't know how long or short it's going to take, but I have a gut feeling that I will snap back somewhat quickly. And you see so many mums who have been training in the gym for years, they snap back so quickly because of that muscle memory, because they've put in the reps, those, tired days, they've looked after themselves for so many years. It is easier for you to snap back. And it's like that trend that's going around. It's like the Beyonce song of have the babies and bounce
Bear
back.
the children.
Bear the children.
Yeah.
And you're just seeing so many incredible women like bounce back after having kids. But that's just not them. Like, yes, they've put in the work postpartum, but they've probably most likely 99% put in years before having kids. So your body is naturally, the muscle memory. You kind of snap back and you know how your body works. And it's the same as like you're building a business. You build the business for years so that when you go away for a holiday for a week, nothing falls apart because you've built the systems, the foundations, you've got the staff, whatever it is, so you can take the time off.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest piece as well, is like, even for myself, like not pregnancy, but like going on a holiday. If I'm going, like, let's say I am actually going to Europe in the middle of the year, I will not be training when I'm over there. And some people absolutely do, and they make it work. And I may get a workout in here and there, but Europe is like one place that is quite difficult to train. I know Ome did a really good job at it, but it was just her and her partner. But I am going with my family.
4 times
in a month?
In a month.
Yep.
Last time.
In a month. So like 1 per week.
Yeah.
And like that was only doing something for the mental health at that point, not even for the physical. But you do so many steps, it doesn't matter. But like I won't lose any progress from that because I've been so consistent for years. But it's someone who, and I know that I can get straight back into routine because that area in my brain is so strong with willpower and discipline.
And you also build it to the point where you enjoy the routine.
Exactly.
You might go through times where it's like, oh, this routine is so hard. So then you adjust it and then you build a routine that you love. It's like our sunrise walks, we don't get up and do it because we have to hit our steps. We do it because we want to get on the beach and see the sunrise, and bonus, you get to get your steps at the same time. So it's about building those routines that you love. So when you come back from a holiday or whatever it is, you're like, oh, this doesn't feel hard because I've created a routine that works for me and that I enjoy.
And the consistency aspect there, right, is if you haven't been doing that before you go on holidays and you've only really been doing it for a month, and then because you're like, try to shred quickly 4 weeks before Europe and then you go away, you probably find that you almost go back to square one because you haven't built the habits. You don't have muscle memory. Your muscle isn't actually dense to be able to like attain it as long. And you also don't really have those habits ingrained in you that actually how to navigate a holiday as well. And so the holiday, in terms of like your nutrition, your hydration, your sleep and all of that, isn't actually of high quality. So you're not successful when you come back. Now, it's not a bad thing at all, but it just goes to show that it takes time to learn all of these things.
And then stripping it back to training. And so let's say you're focusing on your training and your wellness, your nutrition, whatever it is. This is all like devotion to yourself, self-respect, and building self-confidence from within, which is then going to play out in business and in relationships as well. So showing up for yourself like every single day doing the work is not only going to help your results that you want to see, squatting 100 kilos, whatever it is, it's actually building steps outside of the gym that you probably don't even realize yet. If you're starting out or you're months into the gym, but you're just like, oh, this just feels like a slag, you will figure out later on that it's not just about the gym. And when you get yourself to a place of like, I'm training because I like it, I'm training because it's making me strong and I feel good, not because you're just training for aesthetics, then you start to see where else it's showing up in your life and building that self-respect.
Absolutely. I always say like, kind of going off the back of that, but in a way when you feel like it's not really doing anything, my like favorite quote that I always like tell myself is like, when it feels like nothing is changing, everything is changing. It's almost like the most boring days and the most repetitive ones are the ones where it ends up actually having the most success, because it's so easy to show up when you feel motivated, you feel inspired, it's warm in the mornings, you've had a really good amount of sleep, like you're prepared. Of course it's easy to show up then, but that's not going to get you success. What is like on the days that it's really hard, it's raining outside, it's cold, you're in a rush or whatever, you're sore, but you still show up, and those days matter the most. And I truly believe that that's where self-respect comes in more than anything, because if you respect yourself on the hardest days to show up, that's going to like flow into every other area of your life. So I think that's the biggest piece of like, when it just comes down to training, is just doing the boring reps, because that's where your results come in.
Yeah. I saw this quote the other day on Instagram and I can't remember it exactly, but it was along the lines of, most successful people you see, they don't hit that level of success till they're like 40. And then the next one was like, oh, I'm going to have to find it, but it was like, top level of success is like 40, started a business at 40, hit success at 42, and then it just like climbs from there. And Mari Llewellyn, host of Pursuit of Wellness podcast, her husband and her run Bloom Supplements, which is like a $1 billion company. Crazy. She posted the other day that he's 40. And he does not look 40. Also, Grace Beverley's
Oh, I saw that.
husband.
Did you see her stories?
Yes. People were like...
I'm changing my Hinge profile right now to 40 because if your man looks like
he
that,
does not look 40.
I'm ready. Yeah, it makes me so
That
excited.
was insane. But it's like we have so much time, and I think, you know, society these days, it's like you have to be successful at 21 and like have the business and do the thing, be on social media. It's like you can build in your 20s and your 30s and still hit success by 40 and then live such an incredible life beyond that.
Yep.
And that's like, that's kind of where it happens.
Absolutely. So I always tell Kate, because he wants success like right now, and he's like he wanted it actually yesterday. And I'm like constantly have to remind him, like, it's incredible because that's what gets you the results. Absolutely. But like, you turned 26 yesterday. You were technically 25 years old. People don't even know what they want to do. They're in the middle of uni. They're still living at home. They don't even have like a partner. Not that you need all those things to be successful, but it helps you, I guess, like climb a lot faster. And I'm like, dude, you were like so successful for your age. And I always remind myself of that as well, because I look up to my family a lot in the success that they've had with their business. My dad didn't start working properly until he was 30 years old. He didn't start his business till he was 30. He was just coaching, water skiing around the world and doing that because he loved it and was so passionate. Business at 30, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm like 28 and I'm already getting ahead of myself. 27. And already doing everything I'm doing. I'm like, imagine another few years, and we're just so hard on ourselves. But you are right in saying that it takes a lot longer than anticipated, and especially physically as well. Like, I'm pretty sure you're at your prime between like 28 to 30. And a lot of our listeners are in their like early 20s, and they're like, oh, why don't I look like this? Why don't I have the big glutes or the abs? I'm like, your body's literally still developing. You don't have that the muscle density behind you to be able to attain that. Like, just give yourself time.
And that's, again, where like social media plays a massive role, because you just see the highlights, you compare yourself. It's like when we were comparing to Emma Grede and we thought she was way younger because some reason online it said she was younger, and then we realized she was 35.
I feel like even a little bit older, but yeah.
And it's just like, you know, people are very different. It's like you can look at it as like, I'm going to use my 20s to just grind as hard as I can and not live my life and then build that success. Or people like, I'm just going to take it a bit slower, enjoy the life, enjoy the balance. Like, it's up to you how you want to do it and how you kind of see, I guess, your life like panning out. But at the end of the day, as long as you're doing what you love and you're defining success and chasing success that is valuable to you and aligned with you, and not what everyone else online deems a success. Because, you know, we look at people and it's like, oh, well, I feel like everyone's at the Maldives at the moment, or, you know, she's buying that car or doing whatever it is. It's like materialistic things might be success for them. But for me, I'm like, I don't really care. Like, I don't want that Louis Vuitton bag. It doesn't bother me. I want to take baby boy on a holiday and like, you know, be able to have time off the business, and like it just fully runs by itself for both Jackson and I. And like, you have to determine what success means to you and then chase that.
Absolutely. And where I feel like I'm almost like slightly the opposite in a way of like, I think it's because I'm not pregnant and I don't have any of those hormones running through my body. Like, success is like growing my business and seeing like our profit margins go up and all of those things. And for us, it was like buying a house and buying a car, and like that to me was success. But I know in 5 years' time, success is going to look like stepping away from the business, literally just spending the whole day with my child. Terrifying that's probably going to be the case in 5 years. And
My child will be 5. Probably have a second.
It's crazy. And another thing that's really successful towards me is like knowing that my family's healthy and I'm looking after them and I have a really good relationship with them, and that means that like I'm so successful in my life is like knowing that they are all okay. So like you said, it is just finding what that means for you and not comparing yourself to others online.
Yeah. And another thing we always talk about is failure and how like important it is. And so many of us grow up learning and believing that failure is, how do you say it? Like, failure is bad, or failure just means you failed it, whatever it is. But, and I think both of us learnt this massively from Stephen Bartlett, but also going through our own failures, quote unquote, in life, is how much you learn through those moments, whether that be going through an injury, it's like, well, I failed myself and now or my team, whatever it is, or going through a setback in business, or you lose a staff member, or you get a warehouse and then you realize how much money it costs you until you're bankrupt. But you only can build up from these moments. And I think that's where so many people don't take those risks because they're scared to fail. But if they actually just went ahead with it and realized that the risk probably isn't that scary, and once they tackle it, they're like, oh, I didn't do this for 5 years because I was scared of that one risk and I just moved through it like it was nothing. Or they're putting the risks in their head before they've even happened, and they might not even happen. You might start that business and you might go, oh, but what if I run out of money? But what if it also does really well and then you make more money to then buy more stock, whatever it is?
Yeah.
You can't preempt what's going to happen, and you have to be willing to take the risks.
That's something that I'm trying to get out of my head at the moment, because I'm very much will be risk adverse. Like, I look at every single negative outcome just in case. It's almost like I do that, so then if it happens, I'm like, oh, I told you so. I knew it wasn't going to work out. And that's something I'm like trying to rewire my brain, that it's okay to fail and to not do well, and it actually is going to propel you forwards into the future, because the most successful people in the world have had many, many failures, and you only see their success version. Like, for example, there's been so many things that happened in my own business. Like, I must be like vulnerable here, but like, I think last year before Kate and I merged, like, I've tried multiple employees and it didn't work myself. And like, it failed, and I didn't run it properly. I didn't do the contracts properly. I wasn't a very good manager. And that's why those employees, I guess, like, didn't work out in my business the long run. Now, having out my business with Cade, we have multiple coaches under us. And now I feel like, okay, I've learnt from that. I know exactly what to do, what not to do. And it's been the most successful it's ever been because I've learnt. Now, if I didn't go through that, I probably would have gone through it now at a much higher risky, I guess, outcome. So it's like you have to go through all of those failures to figure out how to actually work.
And if you just think about like your favorite podcaster or business owner or favorite activewear brand, like every single owner of those brands has gone through some major adversity, failure, setbacks, and they're still continued on. And that's what sets successful people apart in this world, is that you either take on the risk and you be willing to fail and you start again and you keep climbing, or you hit that one risk and failure and you stop, you throw in the towel.
Yeah, Kate and I literally just signed the contracts for our new house on Monday, which is so exciting.
Crazy.
It's our investment property, but I've been like terrified, right? Because it's like all of my money. We've decided to not do like first home buyers and go like a higher deposit, so we can kind of just get like equity, our investment, as good as we can. But it was like, that risk for me is like, I've been working out my life savings for my whole entire life. And all of a sudden I'm about to put it all into one thing to hope out that it's going to work. And I said to Kate, I was like, what happens if we can't afford it at the end of the day? Or what happens if something happens with our business and then we have to pay too much? And like, I was thinking of all the negative things. He's like, okay, we downsize our house. We don't pay as much rent. We sell the car. We just use your Mazda. We like do all of these things. He's like, there are so many things that we can just do if we get to that point, but we're not going to get to that point. And you're thinking in like a negative mindset that it's already not going to work. And I was like, true, at the end of the day, it's not that bad as all of the things we make it out to be. Because in my head, I'm like, okay, if we can't afford this, my life's over. But he's like, it's not over. Like, we just downsize or sell the car or whatever it's going to be. And obviously you never want it to get to that point, but him just saying it so calmly and so, I guess, logical as a male is, I'm like, oh yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, we can't afford it, we're living on the street.
Exactly.
It's like, well, first step, we could sell the car.
Yeah.
Second step, we move house. We have friends that can help, like family, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's always steps under it. And I think that's where people just go, oh, well, fuck, like, I'm going to go bankrupt and I can't buy food.
Yeah.
Like, it's not probably that bad.
Yeah.
And if you think even like the podcast, for example, it's like we had so many plans for 2025, and then I was like, hey, I'm going to move to Melbourne. And it was never a conversation of like, do we continue the podcast? It was like, oh, we'll just, how do we make it work? We've done long distance before, we'll do it again. And then this year it was like, okay, we're going to do a tour, we're going to do this. And then I felt pregnant. And it's like, well, shit. You literally,
what's happening next year?
Oh, who knows? But you just can't preempt things. And that's where adaptability is huge in everything that you do, because it's same, I'm going to say training and business for this is like, if you can have adaptability and, you know, if you get sick, okay, how am I going to adapt my training? If you're going on holiday, how am I going to adapt my training? If something goes wrong in business or plans don't go to what you wrote down on paper, aka our podcast last 2 years, it's like, well, we just keep making it work. And we've still shown up every single week, had a recording, had a podcast go live, still made the reels go out. Like, we didn't let anything get in the way, even though there was so many things that could have stopped the podcast.
That's the biggest thing that kind of goes into like the next segment, like business, which we've just kind of been touching on, but people just don't actually want to work hard enough. That's like bottom line, is people truly don't want to put the effort in to make it work. And like you said, there's so many times we could have easily taken a step back, but it's like, no, you put that foot forward to make sure that no matter what, like something goes out, even if it's not as good of quality, or maybe it was kind of rushed last second, but it's like, no matter what, be consistent in everything you do, because that's going to have way more success than anything. And that's what everyone always says, especially when it comes to our podcast. They say like, oh, I just know every single Monday there's going to be an episode, and your consistency is what has got you successful. And that just is truly evident for every part of your life, and extremely business as well. You just have to be consistent in showing up and put in the work. And I'm going to say, like, it's more work than you think it's going to be, because especially if you want to have that high level of success, there's like, of course you can absolutely, I'm just going to say more for online coaching, you can make a decent amount of money. Like I said previously in other podcast episodes, I was making fine money to be self-sufficient, to save all of my money, to live a great life. And at the time, that was success for me. And then my eyes got opened into what I can actually do, my true potential. Like, okay, let's push it even more. And like, okay, that requires a whole other level of working hard and just being on throughout the grow and the building phase. So it's like, if you feel like you're stuck where you currently are, bottom line, you just have to work harder to get there.
Yeah. And it's also like, you're going to get to a point in business or training where you plateau a little bit, or you get stuck a little bit, but that probably means that your next level or your next edge is right around the corner. So pushing through, again, those mundane days, the boring reps, the boring days of doing admin in business, it's like that needs to happen to get any sort of success. But it is going to be boring, it is going to be mundane, but generally when that is happening for some sort of time, the next level is going to be around the corner. And it's like, you know, when you and Kate had your separate businesses, it's like you were both doing so well and that was kind of your level. And then it's like, okay, well, can we merge and do it even better and reach more people and make it bigger? And then each time you kind of hit a roadblock, it's always like the next level around the corner. It's the same as Jackson. It's the same as like our whole friendship group. It'll be in the group chat and it's like, oh, I'm going through this. And then the next week or even month later, it's like, oh, this reel just popped off, or this brand deal just came through, or I just signed 10 clients, like whatever it is. It's like, always, if you can get through the mundane stuff, generally the best is on the other side.
But people tend to quit before they get there.
Yeah.
They think that, okay, I'm not doing a good enough job, or it's too hard, I'm not being consistent, or someone's doing a better job than me, so they may as well take it. It's like, there's always room for you. And especially on social media, it's like, oh, the market, the influencer market is too saturated, or everyone's an online coach, there's not enough clients out there. Like, believe me, there's always room for everyone. But the people that are successful are just outlast everyone. Like, it truly doesn't matter how much work you can do within a 6-month period to become successful, because you can. But if you don't continue it on, it means literally bullshit at the end of the day.
Literally, I hate when people are like, it's so saturated. And it's like, well, yeah, sure it is, but there is still room for you. And I think, like, if you look at Jackson, for example, he is a videographer, photographer, but for a lot of like online coaches. But almost every single one of his clients have a different niche. And it's like, he's got a pair of clients who are a lot of couples in businesses together, but one's like fully USA based. Like, their whole client base is all USA. Then he's got one set of clients that are like older generation from like 35 onwards. Then you've got you and Kate. That's like probably females our age looking to weight loss, get fit, all the things. And then there's other clients where it's just males. Like, there is so much out there. There is a world full of whatever the heck our population is to have whatever you want to do fit in. And I think, like, people got to stop using that as an excuse.
Exactly. And also, half of our clients have already had previous coaches.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, then they go to other coaches. Just like you move from your ex to your new partner.
Yeah.
Like, you just
Or
find
one psychologist to the next psychologist.
Exactly.
Like, you find the coach, the trainer, the mentor that is right for you, and there is always going to be someone out there.
It's the same with like brand deals, right? It's like, yeah, they can work with one creator, but then they're probably going to want to outsource even more to have more engagement and like reach across the platform. So it's like, yep, then they're going to move to someone else. So it's like no industry is too saturated unless you fall into just what everyone else does and you copy everyone else. And then it's going to feel really saturated because you're not being authentic. The most successful people are more authentic to themselves. So that's why they can outlast in the long run.
Like we said at the start of the episode in your business event, which was like, you're not asking the questions. The people who are out there winning and are successful are the people who are asking the questions, showing up when it's hard, and also just not quitting when it gets hard. And, you know, you think that you see online how easy it can be to blow up or be successful, but 9 times out of 10, those people have put in systems and they've studied the market to know how to blow up and things like that. Yes, there is that one person out of 10 that will just blow up overnight and you're like, cool.
Yeah.
But the people are putting in the work, and those people that are successful, whether that is in training or business, are the ones that continue to show up no matter what comes in on the bus on the way through.
The difference as well is like the action point. And we always speak about this. You can want everything in the world, but unless you're truly taking action, nothing's going to come from it. And like I used to be that person who would say they wanted all of these things, but I never actually did anything to make it happen. And it's just like it happens all the time with like training. It's like you can get a coach, but if you don't put in the work and go to the gym and eat the meal prep, you're not going to get the results. You can hire a business mentor and they can tell you literally everything to do, but if you don't put in the work, you're not going to get the results. Like you have to action what you actually want to do, and you just have to start. That's simply all it is. If you want to lose weight, literally just walk into the gym. Like that, just start there. If you want to start a new business, literally just apply an ABN. Like you just have to put that first step forward because it's always the hardest.
Yeah. Especially in business, it's scary.
But
it's worth it.
Yes.
Moving into relationships.
Yeah.
Now, we always get questions on like how to make friends or even just like get the boys on, like talk more with them. But we both have had relationships in the past. Both have had a long-term relationship each of many years. And friendships that didn't really serve us or served that season. And one thing that my mum always said to me is, friends will come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And what I've learned is, you know, throughout my acro career, I had like the most incredible friends. Then we grew apart. I literally don't speak to many of them unless like I've just recently like competed with them and stayed close with my coaches and things like that. School friends, literally got one. That's because we've been friends since we were 2 years old. And like you could touch base here and there, but I'm not speaking to any of them within like a couple of years. You know what I mean? And then we've got our friendship group now, which we're so lucky to have, but we have found each other because we've put ourselves out there, and also because we put in the constant effort to check in on each other, or like it's just easy. And I think a lot of questions that we get is like how to make friends or how to kind of get rid of a friend that you don't feel aligned with. But if you're showing up and putting yourself first, I feel like it naturally kind of happens. Like you'll naturally kind of feel someone fading out of your life, or if it's meant to be, that will come back into your life for a reason. Or if one person's putting in all the energy and the other is not, it's like, okay, like a friendship or a relationship, it's a two-way street. I think it needs to be 50-50 effort. Or in a relationship and friendship where it's like, okay, today, for example, I'm not feeling the greatest. Lily hustled. She did the podcast notes for us, and we've talked about it prior to the episode. And then next week it might be the vice versa, where you're not feeling great. I've done the episode notes and I've put in 80, you've put in 20, vice versa. Same as in a relationship. Like Jackson comes home from work days like so flat. Maybe he's lost a client, or you know, it's like, okay, well, how can I fit in that extra 20% that you just can't give today? And I think that's where a lot of people just go, oh well, they're not putting the effort, so see you later. It's like, oh well, are they having a bad day, or are they just a fading out friend, or whatever it is?
I always like something that kind of annoys me a lot of the time, but I used to be that person, so like I get it, and I think it just comes with maturity, is especially more so in a relationship, is if you're like, oh well, they never compliment me, or they never, I don't know, do this for me, or they never do that, and it's like, do you do that to them? So it's like, I always catch myself doing that, and especially like working alongside your partner, like things can just like kind of like go under the radar. Your relationships go down a bit and then it comes back up again. But I'm like, when it starts to like go down, we just like literally are like both founders operating at the same time. I'm like, okay, I feel like he maybe not complimenting me as much or not putting in an effort with me, but I'm like, okay, but I'm actually not doing that to him. I haven't complimented him. I haven't booked us a dinner, but I expect him to do that. I haven't scheduled like something, but I expect him to do that. So it's like people will also match your energy. So if you're not putting in effort towards them, they're probably not going to put it back in towards you. And of course, you don't want it to be 100% one person all the time. That's a bit different and that's a power imbalance. But you also need to show them the affection that you want all of these things. And I think that's sometimes forgotten a lot in relationships is you always expect others to put in the work. Or it's like, oh, well, they never reach out to me. They don't want to hang out with me. It's like, have you messaged them to hang out? No. And they might feel the exact same. So it's like you also have to put in the effort to make a relationship work. And this also ties back to business and it ties back to training is sometimes it does get boring. Like it truly does. Like if you're doing the same thing day in, day out, it can get repetitive in a relationship, in a friendship, and you have to put in the effort and they're going to be ebbs and flows. It's going to come up and it's going to come down. And I felt like maybe the past month, like Kate and I, a lot of stressful things happened and then like we kind of went down. But then overall the past like week, everything's kind of smooth sailing again. I feel like we've really gone back up again. And it's like, if you quit on a relationship or a friendship when things are hard, you're never going to find that right person. But if you hang in there and you put in the work and you communicate, things are going to come back up. But everyone expects things to be perfect 24/7.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you know, if you're like, oh, he hasn't complimented me, it's like, well, have you actually communicated to him as well? Not only just given him compliments, but like, for example, me and Jackson have different love languages. So for him, it's physical touch. Mine is words of affirmation. So I used to like physical touch was my last, whereas now with him, it is like nearly top. But I'm always like, okay, am I giving him enough cuddles? Am I, you know, just sitting next to him, putting my arm around him, whatever it is. But then he's not a words person. We know that.
Mute.
So we work on that one. But it's like I think I may have mentioned this last week, but he wrote the nicest letter to me in first trimester when I was really, really struggling. And I said to him the other day, I was like, that was so nice when you did that. And like, feel free to do it again. Because like, I really enjoy that.
What did you do the other day? You just put in your calendar saying, I love you or something?
Yeah.
I was like,
I got up
Jackson.
and I saw my journal on my desk and I was like, he's written in it. So I went to my computer and on my calendar, it said, I love you. And it said a reminder, so it like came up. And then he'd written a page in my journal, just like words. And I was like, tears. But I was like, that took you what? 5 minutes, and means the absolute world to me. So it's like sometimes you're not going to have the same love languages, and that's the same as friendships as well. It's like I'm not crying in my bedroom and expecting Lily to message me being like, "Are you okay?" Like
I would never tell you.
or I'll message being like, having a breakdown, feel like fucking shit. And then we'll talk about it. But it's like you can't expect people to read your mind, especially in friendships and relationships. You have to be open to communicating and tell people your needs. Like I'm like at the moment to Jackson, what were we doing? Oh, last week when we were recording. And he was like, are you ready yet? And I was like, I'm literally doing the best I can. Like I feel so shit, feel so nauseous. I'm taking it slow. Like I'm not okay. And then he was like, you're doing a really good job. And I was like, thank you. Like,
but it's like, if you didn't tell him that, he's not meant to know. He can't, like, if you looked at you visually, you had makeup on, your hair was done, you looked great. And even today, you look great. But it's like, how you feel may be completely different. So it's like, you have to tell people or ask, like, they're literally not meant to know. And it was even like the other day, I was fucking walking the golf course with Tina and I like would have seen from the outside like everything was good, and she was like, oh, so like how are you going? All of a sudden started crying and she was like, whoa, what the heck? And it's like, and then we kind of like talked through and all the things, and but she wasn't meant to know that. Like she's not going to come in and be like, oh, like I will speak to you a little bit softer, or I won't, I don't know, give like the jokes to you today, because like she doesn't know. So it's like you just have to communicate all of these things to actually understand. And sometimes I know it happens like with our friendship group, because we're quite like banter people, but it's like Kate and I's banter can go too far sometimes. Like, okay, I think we need to dial back the banter and say like a bit more like, I love you. And we like, you need to say that, or else like all of a sudden one day you just snap.
And like with the boys, it's banter 100% 24/7.
Yeah.
Whereas with your partners, We need like some
Yeah.
balance.
And that's like all of a sudden one day, like I might snap and he's like, oh, lol, what the fuck? But it's like, it's because I let it build up and I didn't communicate that. That only happened like literally the first month of our relationship because I was like, I need to get on the ball with that. Or else like Banner can go way too far. But it's like, it's something that can happen like all the time because you're not communicating what you need.
Yeah. And it's just like little things like putting in place like accountability with each other. I know, say, Cruz and Christina at the moment are doing Wednesday night date nights. Taylor and Isaac, I think they're also doing Wednesdays.
Yeah,
I don't know,
Wednesday's a
but they've
day.
picked a day. But each week they're alternating as to what they do and what, like, Taylor will surprise Isaac one week and then Isaac will surprise Taylor the other week. And it's just like, at the moment, we do not have that. I know you do not have that.
Yeah. To be fair though, I'm with him 24/7.
Yeah.
So
but it's like, okay, if we're going to set in a date night, what's realistic for us? Is it monthly? Is it fortnightly? Is it weekly? Is it bi-monthly? Which hopefully it's not.
yeah.
We did say monthly a while ago, and you
went to Port Douglas.
we did go to Port Douglas, and we went out for dinner last month, so not too bad. Jackson's actually booked already date night for May, so yep, slay. So it's like keeping that accountability with each other as well, because you know people are like, oh, my relationship is fading out, the honeymoon phase is ending. You know, we just went on our baby moon, and I'm like, yes, I was really, really unwell and like really struggling, but he went and played golf and I had naps and laid by the pool. But then we went out for dinner one night and it felt like we're in the honeymoon phase again. But we were talking about like how we want to parent our little son and like what we want to do when he's this age or how we want to approach this situation or like what does iPad time look like? When do they get social media? Like things like that. And then we got onto like doing our times tables and he was teaching me how to do my 9 times tables.
With the fingers?
No.
Oh.
I'll just say it anyway.
Okay.
But it's like minusing like so say it's like 9 times 7. You minus 1 from 7, so 6. And then however many left to 9. So what's that, 4? 7, 8, 9. 3. So 9 times 7 is 63.
I think I like mine. 9 times 7 is 63.
Yes, I learned that in school.
So much
I forgot
easier.
about that. That's way easier.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what you're just doing, but use your fingers.
But anyway, we're at the table like in tears of laughter, but it just felt so nice because it was like you can keep that spark alive if you put the effort in, if you give each other accountability and you communicate with each other. Because we're like nearly 6 years in. We'll be at the end of, in August. July. 6 years in. And yes, we're about to have a kid, but it's like even once we have a kid, which, you know, everyone's like, wait till we have a kid, everything changes. It's like, I want to put that effort in because I never want this to ever feel any different.
Well, you want your, like, the more you get to know your partner, and of course it's going to evolve all the time, but like you should fall more and more and more in love with them as time goes on. Like I absolutely know I have in comparison to like the very start. And it's like your emotions are different. It's not like little, I'm not getting like nervous.
Yeah.
But I'm like, want to grab your face saying, I just fucking love you so much. Like I feel like that's the difference in comparison to the start. But it's like your honeymoon is going to come, phase is going to come up and down, but it should never completely fade out is the biggest thing there.
Yeah.
The other thing as well is like you just have to listen when it's uncomfortable and show up for yourself, like in the relationships when it is like inconvenient for you, and you just have to constantly like grow and evolve and let the other person, whether that is in a relationship or friendship as well, become who they want to become. You can't hold anyone back from doing what they truly desire, because I think that's where a big part of resentment comes in. You have to let your partner be themselves, and that has, I think, come up in like our past relationships. So like people hold you back so much, and that's where resentment comes in, and then you eventually grow apart because you're like, this is who I need to be. A good partner is going to be someone who like wants you to succeed and inspires you and like continue to pushes you to your to your limits to be the best person you can be. And that's when a relationship is truly successful.
Yeah, period. Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And it's like bringing this all into like one little basket. I want everyone to hopefully sit there after this episode and go, what does success mean to me? Because for us, you know, I would say our top things are business, relationships, and training and, you know, wellness, and our overall health. And these 3 things to us may not be the same 3 things to you. It could be completely different, but these for us are like the pillars. And I think for a lot of people they are too. But business doesn't have to mean your business. It could mean career. And you love what you do. You love working for the company that you work for and you want to build and whatever that be. But sit there and go, what does success mean to me? Like, do I get really excited and want to save up for a designer handbag? Do I want to save up for a holiday? Do I want to have multiple houses. Like literally sit down and work out what success means to you, and then how do you build towards having more of that. Mine, and I also think it's going to change a lot, because I would say mine has changed so much since falling pregnant, where I'm like, hey, love the slow life. I know when he's here, like that first month where I'm like, we can just wake up and like take him for a walk in the pram and just embrace that. And then I know obviously once he gets older, life picks up again and he just comes right along with us. But I love building the businesses, but I love living a slow life at the same time. And that has changed so much since falling pregnant. But also understanding that every season of life, your meaning of success may change.
Absolutely.
And I think where it's like, you know, discipline, direction, and meaning is all three of training. What do we talk about? Business and relationships are going to come into those things of discipline, direction, and meaning, because discipline is going to build self-trust, confidence, which then goes into everyday life, business, and finding the direction you want to take. And then ultimately having the most meaning in your life, which for us is like our friendships and freedom and living the beautiful lifestyle that we do.
I wrote something here which I really, really like, and it's like it just shows how truly all three of them kind of flow into each other. But it's like you can be fit but broke, or you can be rich but lonely, or you can be surrounded by people but with a lack of purpose. And that just like truly shows that like real success is an alignment across all three of them. It's not having the best body in the world and then not having any friends around you, or it's not having the most incredible friends around you but then you literally have no money, which is going to cause you stress because you're not focused on your career or growing that. And it's like you might not be good at everything, but you just have to be okay at like a lot of things. And I really think that they always say like, oh, you focus on like your one really, really good thing and that's going to drive success. But if you don't have a good relationship or even a relationship with yourself, you're not truly going to feel fulfillment or success within. So it truly does all have to coexist with each other.
Yeah. And yeah, you can't have 100% of everything. I know that like I would much rather be comfortable with my finances but have the friendship group that we have, healthy family, a roof over my head, than be absolutely balling and not have any of our friends.
Absolutely.
Like,
imagine just standing in like a mansion alone.
I'd rather be in a shoebox.
I'd rather be like, oh, I tell you what, I would
With
love
my
like
best
a
friends.
beach shack with like a dinner. Oh, and like that's when you know you truly like that's when you're living in your
and maybe
fulfillment.
standing in a mansion by yourself is absolutely the dream for you. Go live it. But for us, that's not it. And that's what we're saying is like really determine what all of this means to you and how can you build a life that encompasses all of that.
Absolutely. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you think that this would land with someone, please share it with them or on your story as well, and give us a rating on Spotify, as it really helps us push our podcast to get on the best guests possible and continue what we're doing.
We love you guys. We appreciate you, and we'll be back in your ears next week.